Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're delighted to have Sami. Um, Sami has grown a huge influence on Instagram, and she's had some great success on talking on some amazing shows that I was absolutely delighted to listen to. I really enjoyed watching her on Dr. Anthony Shafee. Her story is magnificent, and she's a very strong, powerful person, and I'm just very inspired by her, and I feel so thankful to have her join us today. Sami, if you want to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I already, flattered by your introduction. I'm not such a, like great person to say. Yeah, I'm Sami from Japan. I'm a cancer patient, like Jason. And what makes unique about me is I'm not cancer free. I do have still cancers rather. My cancer diagnosis was 3 years ago. I was diagnosed as terminal colon cancer, stage 4, metastasis to the liver, the lymph nodes, and all of that. So I had an operation, and after that, despite of that, I've been on the modern medicine approach. I developed two metastases. One is the liver, and one is lung. Still, they are going on, but because of my diet and my lifestyle, I'm managing my cancers. They are well behaved. Jason, don't you think there is some kind of a movement? Hate cancer, F cancer. We're going to destroy the cancer cell in my system. But I have a different opinion. I want to know your opinion where your cancers, my cancer cells, are previously your healthy cells. So because of that, that's something we made them cancerous. It's our fault. They were nice guys. I feel like in my case though, my original cancer formation must have been in my 20s. So I've been living with these guys, my babies, for, I don't know, 30 years or something, 30 or 40, I can't remember. So meaning that just demonize them makes me rather more anxious and deadly. Rather than that, I'm going to tame down my babies. This is my way to think about cancer cells. What's your take on this?
Well, I think that's a very interesting point. I've been saying this and thinking this for a while. It's everybody is raise money, beat cancer. We got to find a cure for cancer. And I've actually been thinking about a lot lately. Like my cancer's quite level, just like you. Like I'm doing great. I'm out playing golf with my friends. I can spend time with family, my children. And I'm going, why do we need to spend all this time and money into curing the cancer? Why can't we just manage it as a chronic illness and put money into that? And instead of having these oncologists sit there and saying, you're going to die in 3 months, because that's what they said to me, and it's 20 months. And like,
same
I'm
here.
doing great. Yeah, look at us. We're doing great.
Right. Yeah,
So,
here's the thing. Go, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say that, I have talked to many cancer patients, and the thing is that they were already depressed by cancer diagnosis. Before they're going to go through the, let's say, cancer treatment, if you will, the journey, they were already massively depressed by the prognosis. Our prognosis were much terrible than a normal cancer. My point here is that many people get a cancer diagnosis like a stage 1, stage 2, maybe stage 3. And they are dying. They are dying by their thoughts, depressed and taking out on everything. But in my case, the reason I wasn't so terribly upset was the fact that, yes, my diagnosis was 3 years ago. Before that, I had been on a ketogenic diet or carnivore diet, 5 or 6 years before my diagnosis, knowing that cancer formation was in my 20s. And also, I was severely suffering from the eating disorder for 24 years. which related to cancer, which we are going to talk about later. So I was bulimic since I was 15 years old. I went to the psychiatrist, where despite the fact that psychiatrist, he had published several books which are all about human health and human mental health both, but the guy didn't know anything about bulimia. The psychiatrist knew little about anorexic conditions. And I told him, I can't just stop eating. Something wrong about me. He goes, oh, you are, the person who cannot tell a lie. There is no such a thing. The person cannot stop eating. That's the level of their knowledge back then. Maybe 80s in the last century. That experience suggested that doctors know very little about our physiology. That's the experience made me decided that, okay, I'm going to study the biology, biochemistry. I'm going to have to study to help myself. That is why, despite the fact that it was 2014, 15, somewhere around, there was no such a ketos and carnivore, none of those things. But I was able to kind of come across the ketogenic diet. And originally, ketogenic diet was designed for children with epilepsy, epileptic child. And it was established to 1920 somewhere around, almost 100 years ago. And then later on, still I was studying about ketogenic diet. And then I realized was that ketogenic diet can be used for cancer patients. And already there was a good result. And but I at the moment, I didn't know. What I knew was that, okay, ketogenic diet is good for epileptic, seizure, progression. Interesting fact is that when I was severely suffering from eating disorder, I was given the anti-seizure drugs from all of the psychiatrists I went through. I don't know why. Still, I don't know why. I haven't studied the mechanism of the anti-seizure drugs and severe eating disorders. My thoughts goes like this. I've been giving the anti-seizure drugs, and a ketogenic diet has well established that it is an anti-seizure effect. If I've been on the ketogenic diet, my psychiatric condition, the medical, mental condition, like eating disorder and sleeping disorder, all of that might go away. This is my original attempt of ketogenic diet, because I didn't know anything about the fact that I was incubating cancer back then. And so that's why I've been on a ketogenic diet. Yes, it helped my eating disorder treatment. I suffered eating disorder 24 years, where I was taking a laxative, 250 laxative tablets a day. And yes, your reaction was quite right. Enormously, great amount. And also self-vomiting every day, which I assume directly related to my colon cancer formation. You are insulting the colon 24 years. Very, very, terrible way. And yes, my psychiatric condition was cured by ketogenic diet. But my gastrointestinal system, especially bloating, it hadn't to be solved by just ketogenic diet. Now, 2018, I finally embraced carnivore diet. Back then, Sean Baker wasn't a thing. I just tried to reduce zero carbohydrate, reduce the carbohydrate to the point zero, mean carnivore diet, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is my introduction to the carnivore diet, to my system. And a great thing about carnivore diet is that yes, not only that's gonna give you like a mental break because it's a ketogenic diet, but also it gave me energy, power, motivation. Since then, I've been really into fitness. I love training myself every day at the gym. And also, yeah, previously, my bloating was absolutely severe. It's natural because I was munching on the vegetables and like a laxatives all whole day. And but being on carnivore day one, my tummy flattened completely. First time in my history, I saw my tummy flat. So this is the second thing the carnivore brought to my life. And the third thing was the easy intermittent fasting. At the time, Jason Fung, the godfather of the intermittent fasting, made a noise about how good about intermittent fasting. I wanted to try that, being on a plant-based ketogenic diet. But for me, longer than 14 hours ketogenic diet was too tough. Really, I was going to be very, very cranky and snappy and hate myself, hate this world. But being on a carnivore, intermittent fasting became so easy. You don't need to think about, oh, when I'm going to break my fast. Oh, I'm going to hungry. Oh, I'm going to die. It doesn't happen on carnivore diet. So since then, I've been doing great. And until 2020, there was a lot of publication. They are talking about microbiome. Everybody started to talk about microbiome. Of course, you're going to have to feed your microbiome with fiber. I thought to myself, maybe it could be beneficial. Then I incorporated some fibrous vegetable into my carnivore diet. By the way, at the moment, I just ate beef, fatty beef, salt and water. I was very, very strict about it. And I incorporated like fibers, green vegetables, so to speak, or some mushrooms. Obviously, my gastrointestinal problem made a great comeback, even more terrible. But I kept going because they say your gut is going to adjust the new fibrous environment. I kept going eating the beef and green vegetable, leafy green vegetables. Until one day, 2020, April 4th or 5th, somewhere around, after eating like a fibrous food with meat, I had a dull pain sit on my stomach. It was intensifying. And next day, I managed to go to the closest hospital. And they kind of took the easy CT scanning. Now, looking back, hindsight, they must found something horrendously bad. They immediately sent me to the gigantic hospital without telling me anything, and where they discovered the fact that I was incubating the very, very advanced stage of cancer. And then I had an operation and had a new metastasis. But the thing is that I had known the ketogenic diet approach for cancer, which works. And also, 2020, somewhere around, I sent an email to Dr. Sifri, everybody knows right now. And his reply email gave me another boost of confidence. What I'm doing should be great. I just keep going. And then fast forward, and my recovery from the operation was so quick. I attribute it to carnivore diet, and I resumed my exercise. And then 1 year or 1.5 years later, here's my mistake I made. Even on being on a carnivore, I was so healthy, even though they discovered a new metastasis, but I was confident. Hey, I can, manage my cancer, bring any metastasis. I was overconfident. What kind of mistakes I was making at the moment was that I forgot about the fact that importance of the getting a low GKI. Previously, my GKY was always 1 or less than 1 always, because I was eating just a fatty beef. You can't go wrong with it. But the thing is that I wanted to be big. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be kind of well jacked and kind of stuff. To do that, dietary intervention from the common sense is increasing your protein, isn't it? So
Yeah.
just I wanted to increase the protein, but increasing the protein, just eating beef is expensive. So I started to incorporate it, pork, chicken, eggs, daily, everything. And even, I dumped a lot of, like a protein powder, isolated soy protein powder. Of course, there are mistakes. Why? The thing is that in my case, in my case, when I eat non-ruminant animals, like one gastric animals, chicken, pork, fish, eggs, for some reason, my GKI number not opposite, goes up. Partially due to the fact that I might have an inflammatory response or immunological response to eating pork or chicken or egg or some of them. But when I eat the ruminant animals, especially beef, I don't have any reaction. Hence, my body is able to produce ketone. Here you go. Since then, I've been on a very strict carnivore. But these days, I have incorporated some kimchi and some little bit green onion, sliced green onion, and some eggs. But still, GKI number is constantly low. Can I share with you last night's story a bit? I'm gonna interrupt myself right now. Yesterday, before that, normally I check my GKI number once in 3 months, or once in 4 months because I'm lazy. And yesterday, knowing that I'm gonna be on your show, so I'm gonna tell you that hey, my GKI is okay. Here's the thing. I pricked my finger. I'm using a hitomojo. And then the thing is that the strip of ketone level had been opened up, but I hadn't used it. Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna use it. And then glucose level checked. Glucose was 59. Oh, good, yay! Hypoglycemia? No. I have a ketone. And I checked that ketone level, which was 0.1. What? I'm not ketosis. I was freaked out. My GKI number in this number was 32. GKI number 32? I was in shock or panic. Even Jason, I thought I was going to cancel today's interview because I couldn't talk about cancer management. The person who is going to talk about cancer management having a 32 GKI number, it's laughable. But I soon realized that, I was using a kind of a inappropriate strap, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the second, okay, I know that, and I kind of prick open the, new fresh
The second one.
strap, and then, the GKI was 0.7. Oh, thank God! I'm able to be on your show today. Otherwise, definitely I canceled that.
That's an awesome story. I got a lot of good notes here. I have to write notes when I'm doing this stuff because my brain from chemo that I took back when I was first diagnosed just doesn't work like it used to. But you had mentioned stage 1, 2, or 3, people are so stressed out. And what I find about people at that stage is they really don't put in the work and the energy and the effort. And Professor Seafried says, if I'm talking too complicated, you better figure it out. And it's almost like those people have a way off the hook. And what they don't realize is there's a 60% chance of reoccurrence in the next 10 years of a new type of cancer after you go through chemo and standard of care. And one thing that I don't know this for sure, but I think something that Professor Seaford, I really like to hear more from him, is does applying metabolic therapy reduce the risk of reoccurrence? I think that's something very important to talk about and discuss, something that hasn't been discussed enough, actually. So that's something I'd like to get into the future, just for people that have recovered from cancer. I think that's a very important topic that I haven't heard much about. You also had mentioned eating disorder, and I can really relate to that because
Oh, really?
not
Okay,
quite to the same
tell me more.
extent. So I had esophageal cancer, so they cut out 7 centimeters of my esophagus, but I spent over a year. I wasn't bulimic, but I spent a year where 3 times a day, sometimes everything I put in my mouth, I would choke on and throw up, and food became a huge stressor in my life. I was totally afraid of food. Like I didn't even want to talk about it with anybody, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Food was a huge stressor in my life. So there's a huge mental component to food. It's more than people realize. And I'm not saying that that's anything like being bulimic, but it's still, there is definitely mental disorder associated with throwing up every meal and watching my body mass disappear, like 40, 45 pounds melt away of pure muscle mass. Just throwing up every meal. So it's a very hard thing to manage, and it's a very hard thing to work through for people. And it's not just cancer people when you go into that. Yeah, your story is fabulous, all that stuff built up to this cancer diagnosis, obviously. But food is a huge mental disorder, even just sugar. Like it's a huge addiction for people. Thank God we got somebody like you, so energetic, full of life, happy. That's just fabulous. Like the world needs more Sammys around because it gives people hope.
More than one Sammys are too noisy on this planet. But here's the thing. Eating disorder. This is something I think I already talked about really in detail in my videos on Instagram. I'm very passionate about talking about the eating disorder. I'm more knowledgeable about eating disorder more than ChatGPT, because I've been there, done this, bought the t-shirts, too many t-shirts. But the thing is that, Jason, yes, it is mental disorders, and categorized mental disorders. Definitely, you go mental, but the origination or initiation of eating disorders are actually, in my belief system, goes stemming from the very simple answer, which is malnutrition. But people assume that, Sami is born with kind of a positivities and the strengths and all of that. Actually, I do have a PTSD, and still I'm having a problem with PTSD induced insomnia. We talked about that on our chat. We have a great discussion already. And then the thing is that, but it is true. There is a study that the eating disorder sufferers have a higher chance to have a traumatic events or childhood terrible things. But it's not always the case that all of the PTSD sufferers are going to have eating disorders. No, but all of the, in my like a point of view, all of the eating disorder sufferers must have had self-induced calorie restriction or excessive calorie expenditure, like the cardios and runnings and spin class and everydays and all of that. What's going to happen is that your brain is not so dumb. You are kind of reducing a calorie intake, or sometimes not intentionally. By the way, your brain has 2 elements to it. One is a kind of a front contrast logical brain. It knows why you are doing this, because you want to lose your weight. You want to get a good physique, all of that. very logically thinking about this way. But your different part of your brain, more reptile, like a primitive type of brain, has no idea why calorie getting less and then why a calorie expenditure is getting high. What it is thinking about is oh shit, the starvation is coming. It says shit. I hear that. The starvation is coming up. Why? Because over the course of the human history, what killed us is not the COVID, it's not the cancers. Always starvation. Starvation killed human beings. That's why our body had been, doing our life for millennia, already equipped how to deal with starvation period. Several things it does. Number one, that's gonna give you ravenous hunger, food-seeking behavior. It's not originally coming from your mental illness. It's coming from the brain, which is a normal physiological response. If your brain doesn't dysfunction, we would have been dead long time ago. We couldn't survive time over the long, ice ages and starvation. Difficult food was difficult to come by. We couldn't survive that. But a modern life, food is ubiquitous, and your brain screams at you, get your food, eat everything, hands-on. Always, it's sending you the message all the time. And you are freaked out. You can't control. Your front cortex tells you, stop eating shit. Please follow my diet. It says that, Jason. I listened to the front cortex screaming each other. Then you are at loss. You're confused. Oh my God, brain goes mental. No, your brain is functioning as it should be, and then also not only that your brain tells you eat, but also your brain lowers your metabolism because the starvation is coming up. Why are you gonna have to burn your the calorie? What they do is that sending a signal to your body, a lot of places. Number one thing it does is lower the metabolism by sending you a lot of reverse T3. Everybody knows that the T3 hormone, which is a thyroid hormone, controls your metabolism. All of the cell has a T3 receptors. Getting a reverse T3 is an antagonist of the T3 hormone, meaning that you are going to burn calorie less for survival. And this is a kind of a more biochemical way to lower metabolism, but also your brain sending you a signal, don't move. I don't know, am I able to get into the too geeky part?
That's okay, get into it.
Thank you. Okay, we'll dive into it. If you do the cardio exercise or kind of did a very physiologically taxing movement, like digging a whole day, later on, you move less. You will take escalator rather than staircases. And what is a most burning calorie elements is need, non-exercise activities like fidgeting and the body language and stuff burn more calorie than exercise. It gets reduced because our body tries to conserve the energy. So you are going to burn calorie less. This is something it's quite opposite than you want to do, right? You want to lose fat. That's why you do exercise, reduction of the calorie. It goes oppositely. So I'm gonna stop this. And so what I'm trying to say is calorie restriction is always kind of provoke the food-seeking behavior and abnormal eating. But the thing is still you feel guilty about overeating coming from your reptile brain screaming. You try to binge purge cycle, in your case, you throw up because of you feel guilty about your, that previous binge eating. You eat something against your plan or out of your plan. That's the origination of the eating disorders. So please, interrupt me and say your opinion.
Oh no, that's yeah, like it's such a mental, you nailed it. I like the analogy of the frontal cortex and the back, which sorry, I forget what you called it, but the two
Yeah,
parts
yeah,
of the brain, you got
right.
like two
Survival brain.
voices in your brain. Yeah. Yeah, you got you got two voices in your head, and everybody has that. And I was listening one time to somebody speaking that was extremely successful, and they said they just listen to the right voice in their brain. That's all they do every day. They don't listen to the wrong voice in their brain, and that's so true. You got the wrong voice saying eat that dessert, and you got the right voice saying no, 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 your cancer's gonna love that dessert. And you just gotta listen. You just gotta
Right.
listen to the right voice.
I know. I have experienced that the two voices are so loud, and to the point that I was obsessed with food, the calories and calorie expenditures and all of that. The obsession of food or calorie is actually taking over your mind. I could have enjoyed my life, but I was always thinking about the calories and foods and when I'm gonna eat, when I'm not gonna eat. It's so tiring. So that's the point. I think that carnivore comes into play to cure that. In my opinion, though, eating a fatty, beef to always stuffed. I don't want to think about calorie, the food, until
No.
the hours and hours.
Of energy, and it lasts. I
Yes.
couldn't agree more. Now, how do you feel about organ meat? I bought my first liver. I haven't had it yet, so
Mhm.
you like liver? You like organ meat?
Oh yeah, I don't mind eating the liver. Here's something that I wanted to talk about liver. It's very decisive. People are kind of having an argument over liver, like a cats and dogs. Yesterday, I was eating a small portion of liver. I do liver maybe once in a week, maybe one or two slices of beef because I like it. And I was eating that liver. At the same time, I was listening to Dr. Sean Baker's podcast, you know, that stuff. And there was a guy, he hates liver. He is against liver. If you are eating liver, you know, you are going to kind of deteriorate your health. Even Dr. Sean Baker kind of chimed in and saying that, but many of the carnivore eat, like the eggs and liver. And also, Japanese people, we eat eggs more than any part of the world. But Japanese people, in general, we have a better health condition than you guys, at least. And
Hmm.
so, what do you reconcile? And that guy who hates liver, who hates actually vitamin A. Yes, there is a condition, you know, too much vitamin A kind of destroys your system. And he goes, maybe we're gonna have to check the data. We assume that Japanese people are seemingly healthy, but who know that Japanese people are more becoming yellowish because they are destroying their liver from the vitamin A toxicity from the eggs. I was not sure his hatred against vitamin A, especially liver and eggs, justifiable. But still, it is worth considering that it's easy to overdo vitamin A if you eat the organ meat on an everyday basis. But if you are really malnourished, like us, having kind of malnourished from the eating disorders and anorexic bulimia, liver, I think, can be the game changer because packed with vitamins and minerals. It's
Yeah, that's what I
depend on your
hear about
situation.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I've after all this malnutrition for such a long time, I think adding liver in is going to do me a lot of good. So I can't wait to start. How do you cook it? You said you've added some onions. Do you do it with onions or butter or
Well,
tallow?
well, I'm very lazy. I'm I'm
You
proud
don't seem
of.
lazy. You're full of
I am,
energy.
man.
I
Oh,
love
you
it.
don't know me. I'm so lazy. So I don't want to kind of waste my time, especially cooking. I just dump everything, the beef and tallows and like liver on top, and I just grill it. And I don't care about even I don't want to kind of messing around and flip over everything. I just grill it. Period. Case closed. So how about your liver variety?
I
How
don't
to
know
play
yet.
with it?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna fry it in butter and I might actually add some onions.
Oh, butter
I
and
just
onion,
coming
man. Good.
well, maybe I'll do beef tallow, but I'm just coming off of a long fast. So I did
Mm. Oh,
17 days.
yes. This is something I wanted to have a conversation with about. I don't do fast. I do tell the cancer folks, hey, if you can do that prolonged fasting. That's gonna, improve your insulin sensitivity, the low GKI numbers, and all of the good jazz. And then, most importantly, the senescent cells or maybe cancer cell might be eaten by you, autophagy and good jazz. I don't do. Why? Because I love eating. Don't steal my joy from my life. And also, I have tried the fast longer than 20 hours fasting. Am I speaking English right? I'm the try the
Mhm.
longer intermittent fasting, longer than 20 hours. My life stopped. I was grumpy. Then I was thinking that the food or calories and all of that. I couldn't make it. Then my justification why I don't do fasting is that I do exercise. Exercise efficacy of the exercise is the exact same you are trying to achieve by longer fasting. That is my justification because I'm lazy. I don't want to to make a extra effort. Unlike you, I
I
kind of yeah.
I
Please
ate
do say.
I ate animal fat, so I had no
Yeah,
meat or
I saw.
nutrition. I consumed animal fat, and honestly, it was the best I felt since I've had cancer. It was worth every ounce of
Mm.
energy. By day, I have to go back and look. I think it was day 615 or so. I had gone, my weight had started to get just a hair too low. It was lower than my goal. So I started
Uh-huh.
to have a little bit of chicken. Maybe it was day 15. I had a little bit of lean meat and I had a little bit of egg yolk
Mm.
just right at towards the end, and then I broke my fast with sugar. I screwed up, but I was
Oh
Father's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Day and
There's a
I
temptation, right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I hadn't had sugar since my birthday. It was previous to April 4th, so
Mm-hmm.
it just hit me like a truck. Sugar's such a drug. It just knocked me out. Don't want sugar
Mm.
again for a long time, I'll tell you that much. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I felt it gave my body because I just had surgery in February. They cut my
Mm.
stomach in half, they sewed it together, they cut out my esophagus. Having this ability to fast, yeah, I didn't completely give my digestive system a rest because I was eating some fat, but it was really easy on my system. Like it was so easy. I had so much energy. By about day 10, I played 2 rounds of golf back to back. Like it was insane
Mm-hmm.
and like just crazy energy output. Like I just couldn't, nobody could stop me. I was unstoppable. It was almost like I didn't have
Oh, I'm
cancer for the
completely
first
admire.
time.
Oh, I see, I
Yeah,
see. I really admire.
but
Yeah.
it took a
What?
while to get there. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen immediately. Like it took probably 6, 7 days to really get into that state. But then I felt like I was on the moon, and then I was also did hyperbaric oxygen while I was in that state.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
do
yeah.
hyperbaric oxygen?
I do, I do. The thing is that hyperbaric oxygen clinic I go, which is very very cheap, like a price to pay. Though they don't have a very high pressure, 1.5. What is your pressure you are in?
I did 2.4, and my next one is
Oh,
2.6.
Oh wow, that's the thing. But I can't do it. And also, my frequency of the hyperbaric oxygen therapy is rather less frequent. I try to get it once in a week, but life happens and busy, and thinking, well, oh, I could buy other stuff, like a calculation. I'm so lazy, man, and I don't do too much about it than necessary. And one thing I wanted to ask you is that you are very, very delicate to fenbenzidole taking.
Yes.
Watching your video, that's kind of inspired me. Oh man, I have to take the fenbenzidole, but I always forget. I kind of following the Topkins stuff. It's 3 days on, 4 days off, but I always forget. Tell me your fenbenzidole start. Your protocol.
I think forgetting is probably a good thing. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen I did a live the other day. There's a trial done in mice in France, and I'm just trying to sort out my new diet. It's definitely going to be carnivore. It's just there was a trial done in mice, and they did a ketogenic diet. They did the standard American diet. They did a rotating ketogenic diet where they did like 15 days of like strict keto, and then they did 15 days where they had like they didn't do keto, so it was on and off. And the most effective diet, and nobody knows why, we can't explain it, and like there's no reasoning for it, but the most effective diet with a targeted immune therapy for the cancer that the mice had was the rotating ketogenic diet. And so
Why rotate?
Don't
This
know.
is something.
I don't know, but it was the
Right?
most effective. I
Yeah.
can't explain it. And then it's really calls to me though, because cancer always seems to adapt and grow and change. And it just seems to do that. And when you're always keeping cancer on its toes, I always think you get an upper hand. So I think if you're taking fembendazole for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 days in a row, and all of a sudden you're forgetting it at random times, and at other points in time you're doing 3 days in a row, 4 days off, and then at other points in time, if you're doing 2 days on, 6 days off, I think always this changing environment in your body on top of the consistency of a carnivore base, like a really strong carnivore diet for like, we both have gastrointestinal cancers basically. So I think probably carnivore is our best bet. Like we feel the best on it.
I think so.
It's 100%. It's not even debatable. But that basic carnivore. And I don't think it's a bad thing that you're kind of all over the map with something like fembendazole. My protocol,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. And then my protocol, I take it daily so that I never forget it, but then I end up forgetting it. So it's great. And then it's always all over the place. And sometimes I take it in the morning and night, and like I go aggressive with it in periods. So I'll go for periods where like I'm going to aggressively target the cancer, and I know I'm doing hyperbaric. I know I'm doing high dose vitamin C. So I'll take I'll take membendazole in the morning. I'll take fembendazole at lunch. I'll take membendazole at night.
You go all over that.
I
all
go
over.
hard. Yeah. And like, I'll go hard like 2-3 days in a row.
Wow.
And I'll have like high dose vitamin C. I'll have hyperbaric oxygen, but then I'll go morning and night and forget lunch. And then I'll forget morning. I'll forget lunch, and I'll go night. And then I'll go night, but forget morning. And then I'll
Your
just take it off for a
confuses.
day.
Confused.
Yeah, completely. And I don't know why, but it's just in my brain. It's like I'm confused about the exact perfect protocol. There's no consistency here. There's no way this cancer's figuring it out. Now, maybe that's just a complete lie and it doesn't make any sense, and maybe it doesn't work at all. But I have this feeling that is a really good way to do it for some reason.
Yeah. Your unintentional, like a change somewhat works in a way that your cancer behave, right?
I think so. I don't know. There's no evidence to what I'm doing works, but there was that study in mice. Now it's in humans, but I don't have time to wait a year for the human trial to come out on the rotating ketogenic diet. So I've debated doing a slight rotation where like I go 2 weeks like really strict, and then like a 7-day period where I add in some blueberries and some other like things just to get some carbs, just to up my carb intake, just I know that's going to throw my GK off a little bit, GKI off. But I almost think like the cancer's like, life's good. And it's like, and I'm hitting it with my hyperbaric oxygen, hitting it with stuff, shock it, like pulse it, and then like give it a break where it's kind of
I know.
And then somebody really close, somebody that I know really good that I like and trust. They were on a strict ketogenic diet, and they were on a consistent targeted immune therapy, and they went to a rotating ketogenic diet, and that's when they beat their cancer. So that's a very strong antidote. Now, if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong and my cancer grows, it's a huge risk. That's what's at risk here. Like I could go to something like this and my cancer could grow. So there's a lot of risk. But I also feel like it's worth a shot.
Oh, sure, definitely. You know, one of the things that some cancer patients are paranoid about is that they were terrified about any glucose. They wanted glucose to be zero almost, but you can't do that. You know, there are some part of the brain, the retinas, and the livers and blood cells. They need the glucose, and also when I do lifting, I want to have some of the many glucose in my system. And also our body is produce glucose even during the exercise glycosis. This is the energy I wanted to do. That's kind of paralyzed the idea that glucose is bad. Oh no, cycling glucose, the blueberries and all I'm gonna be killed by cancer. I want to tell the cancer patient, hey, relax. The cancer not gonna grow overnight by eating several, the blueberries and, glycosis, exercise, or lactase, or whatever.
I don't think it will. I think as long as you're doing the exercise, and I have a trainer that comes once a week and I lift weights. I do a lot of resistance training. I find less is more for my body with exercise. I used to be very athletic playing hockey. And so the best exercise for me was always 5x5s. And less was always more. I built the most muscle mass by lifting the least, because as soon as I did extra, I would just lose body mass. And right now I gotta put on body mass. And as soon as I start doing too much exercise, I crash and I lose weight rather than build it. So
good point. Actually, good point. Can I interrupt you? This point?
Yeah, go for it, please.
Our body is already screwed because of the nature of our. I didn't swear though. I was about to say F words, but
I love it.
Let's make it clean. The meant for kids. The point here is that yes, our threshold of cortisol is rather limited than other healthy, no cancer people. That's why if you tax our body too much cortisol, aka very strenuous exercise or lack of sleep, which I feel guilty about, it's easy for have a catabolism. It's easy for body to eat that muscle because already the threshold of the cortisol is way lower. That's why I kind of noticed that previously I wanted to crush the gym, crush everything. I wanted to go at the gym. I was crazy. But I have to change that. The current exercise regime is more of the I should enjoy the exercise, enjoyment, rather than practicality of the muscle growth or strength, which is, of course, important. But am I enjoying it? I already feel tired. Okay, I'm going to finish this. Yeah, this is my protocol. I have changed.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to know your body and really listen to your body. One of the things I interviewed Professor Seafried, and I'll never forget it, and maybe this is something you can add to your protocol. It's really simple, but lactic fermentation is the byproduct of the cancer fermenting. So that's lactic acid. So my buddy is a professional horse trainer, and in horse racing, it's illegal to dose the horses with baking soda, because on the last lap, they get the lactic acid build up in their muscles and joints. And so the baking soda makes them run 1 second to 2 seconds faster. So they test for pH levels, and if you get caught with lactic acid in the system, you get suspended immediately and fined huge penalties, and you get a long suspension as a horse trainer. So when we have cancer, the cancer is pumping out lactic acid, and we're working out producing lactic acid. And Professor Seafried told us that the higher levels of lactic acid in your system, the higher rates that your cancer will grow.
I don't think so.
I don't know if that's true. Well, he said it is, because lactic fermentation. So it's the Cori cycle. So your body naturally processes lactic acid back through the liver, back into glucose spikes. And so he said there's thousands of papers on that. And so what I started doing was drinking baking soda in a glass of water and mixing it in. Oh my God, it feels so good. And so like after you eat and after a workout, if you just have a glass of baking soda, like once your food started to digest, oh my God, you just feel so good. It relieves all that lactic acid. And I don't know why, but in my brain, I feel like my glucose isn't growing. So my cancer's not growing. It's neutralizing it after post-workout. And the other thing about baking soda is you can drink it before a workout. It increases athletic performance. You can actually lift more. You don't get, so when you get to that burnout state, you actually can get an extra rep in without killing yourself, and you actually get more benefit. Your athletic performance goes up too. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, great. And this is something, this is something, my opinion, which a little bit different from the Dr. Seafried. Dr. Seafried is a oncologist, cancer biologist. He nails everything. But I don't think that he's a specialist in the exercise or sports science. It's my opinion. I think that it works for you. I think that working your system as well. But my point here is that if you do exercise, the lactate and all of that pumping up, that's going to combat the sugar. There is a reason. You are, doing some exercise, some strenuous glycolic, the activity. Lactate, it's going to be your energy once again. I like that idea rather than that's going to feed the cancer. And also, in your stomach, by the way, maybe, taking what's a baking soda, very alkalized, agency, that's going to kind of increase your stamina to lift more, bit more. I don't know that study yet. That's why I'm going to skip to mention that. I don't possess any right to mention that because I don't know it. In terms of the taking alkalinity, the baking soda, which lowers your pH in your stomach, why you're right? Yes, right. Your pH level in your stomach decreases.
It neutralizes your stomach acidity. But I believe it raises the pH in your blood.
Okay,
I believe that. I could be wrong.
Okay, two things I'm going to say. Number one, yes, it lowers the pH. Why your stomach got to be low pH? There is a reason. It has to digest the meat or animal protein, and needs to be very, very low acidity. Number one, I don't want to, have a higher pH level. Number two, your blood level of the pH is very tightly controlled, not your diet, controls your brain. The pH level, I forgot the technical term, 7.35 or somewhere around. If you get higher than or lower than that, you should be in an ER table. It's very, very narrow band. Your brain trying to control it by, so many, chemicals processes, like your breathing, your hyperventilation, that's going to make your acidity or alkalinity. It's very, very depending on your breath, and also your kidney senses that. And if your alkalinity, that's going to produce a lot of mineral to balance the pH. Not your diet is very, 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 very small portion of that work to control your pH level in your system, your blood. So that's why I'm not sure.
Your breath will do a lot of it for you. You're absolutely correct. I agree with that. However,
but it works for you. It works for you.
It works. Honestly, it's a game changer. Honestly, I say every cancer patient needs to try it, because it doesn't hurt
A good
anything to
point.
try it.
Good point.
There's zero side effects, and the benefits for me are astronomical. And yeah, we could say it's placebo effect,
I should
but
try it. I should try it. I
it
had a
doesn't
kind of
hurt
a
anything.
yeah. This is one of the things that people who study the biology and chemistry, because of that knowledge, stops you from being open-minded. Already, I see the alkaline diet. Oh, I digress. This is something I might be missing, right? Yeah, talking to you, this conversation might be very, very beneficial for me, who is going to try out the baking soda stuff, and who know, I'm gonna get the best result next morning. I'm gonna advocate that alkalities and stuff. Thank
You
you very
don't
much
need a
for
lot.
educating.
You don't need a lot, less than a half teaspoon or less even. Like you will get you'll find you'll recover faster, I think, and you'll find that you'll be able to do an extra rep or so. Like there's like professional horse racing, it's banned and it's a big deal. And horse racers are like, it
Wow,
literally
legit.
they swear it's very short acting. It neutralizes the lactic acid. It's a thing. And all the vets, and if you want a really good doctor, I always say go to a veterinarian, because they're the best doctors that you can find. If you can't find a good integrative doctor near you, call your nearest vet and go pay them for an hour consult.
Interesting.
It's true, because
Wow,
human
cool.
biology and dog biology is not much different. And they have access to drugs for dogs that are the exact same version as people drugs. Ivermectin, same drug. Like baking soda, same drug. The vet, I was talking to a vet on the golf course when I was golfing there a week ago, and I ran it by him, baking soda, and he's like, oh yeah, it's great, we give it to animals all the time. It's like, it's a great drug, it works great.
Yeah,
he's like, you don't need a lot.
Nice.
He's like, I even take it. He's like, I even take it. Sometimes I get lazy on it, so I should take it more. The vet, and that was after
Why
I was
not?
already taking
Nothing
it.
to lose, right?
No, just don't overdo it. There's no need to, he said. And I'm like,
Thank you
and he
very
was
much
right.
for educating me. Nice one.
No, thank you very much. And I just find that it really helps. And I think that there's the byproduct of cancer when it ferments is lactic fermentation, though. That much is true. So your point about exercise is very interesting to me, because I think you're correct. I think
just whatever you do to improve your metabolic health, it is always good for your cancer management or cancer treatment prevention.
I think it's really good for the body to have that breakdown and then regrowth, because that's how the body, I think, from what I understand, you're breaking down the muscle a little bit and then it's preparing for another workout or another breakdown of the body. It's opening up the pathways to healing, I think, too, as well, while you're at it. So I think exercise does a lot. Have you heard of neural feedback by any chance?
Neurofeedback.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of it. Tell me about it.
Well, it's new to me. I don't know overwhelming amount about it. I was talking to somebody that really knows their stuff and is familiar with the press pulse theory. And so there's a wristband, and I'm not sure. There's a bunch of different devices that you can buy, and it's basically, so neurofeedback is like you can do meditation and you get that good, calming, overwhelming state of mind, and it reduces stress. There's so many benefits to it. So there's like head devices you can wear to help you through meditation and go deeper. However, there's a device called Apollo Neuro, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, activates body recovery system, improve the HRV heart rate variability. And I might have this wrong, but from what I jotted down here, I don't know if it's higher or lower, but higher HRV, better dealing with stress and body is healing better. Lower HRV, stress, body stressed or getting sick. And I might have that backwards. It might be higher HRV. HRV is what's HRV? It's heart rate variability. So this wristband, Apollo Neuro, you just wear it like a smartwatch. It's not the most fashion forward device, but it has a steady pulse of electrical current that goes through the body, and it literally mimics meditation. You can wear it all day, and it has like 8 modes in it.
Really?
Yeah, and it has like rest and
Sounds cool.
recovery after working out. It
Mm,
has better sleep mode. It has all
mm,
these different settings, and people, everybody that's reviewed it has shown like
mm-hmm,
30 minutes increased
mm-hmm,
length in sleep time. People that
mm-hmm.
work out a lot claim that when they wear it, they recover faster. There's like,
Wow.
there is a few studies.
Mm-hmm,
It's very hard to study something like this. It's really the heart
mm-hmm,
rate variability that people are seeing like
mm-hmm.
a 10% increase in heart rate variability to take the previous
Whoa.
30 days from like a smartwatch or
Mm-hmm,
like a Fitbit or a chest monitor
mm-hmm,
that's
mm-hmm,
measuring your heart. And then they're
mm-hmm,
taking the following 30 days wearing this wristband, and they're seeing
mm-hmm.
these like drastic improvements in heart rate variability.
Sounds promising.
Stress level is a huge part of dealing with
Yeah,
cancer and fighting
that's the
cancer.
thing. That's the thing. I'm working on it. I got the coach to take care of my PTSD. It's going on. Right.
Well,
We're
so
gonna have to have this kind of a conversation because we can't cover all of the stuff we are thinking right now.
no, we we are. Yeah, that's something that you could check out. I was hoping
Yeah,
one
sure.
last thing, and then maybe we'll give you a chance to plug in your information. But how do you deal with stress with cancer? Like, what is your experience on that?
You see, I don't think about cancer as much as I should be. Should. My actually biggest stressor is coming from my PTSD. I'm 51. My PTSD started. The event started when I was 4 years old. Still, I'm dragging the kind of suppressed emotions and all of that. I kind of ignore this stress management aspect, thinking that, oh, eat meat, I'm healthy. But you can't just cover out by eating meat, doing exercise about your kind of a fundamental, your spiritual element. I kind of digress the spiritual element because I studied science. Science is, the God. But always you have to check your spiritual aspect. I know I'm kind of say very very generous part. It's a superficial part. I can't get into that nitty gritty part because it's gonna take another 2 hours of conversation. Yeah, I'm still working on it. I can't tell people, hey, this is the way you're gonna reduce the stress because I'm learning how to reduce the stress still.
It's a very tough. It's probably the toughest part. I don't know if you knew I did something that was legal in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I got approved by Health Canada, and I did psilocybin, which is a
Yeah.
psychedelic
Mm-hmm.
drug. I don't know if you have access to that there, but
No.
I did it with a doctor. You can get it probably on the street,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it with a doctor. There's a thriving underground market of professionals that do guided psychedelic experiences, and I literally saw my own death and then rebirth. It was just I haven't
Oh.
told this story yet, but 80% of the stress and fear of my own mortality was gone, and it opened me right up. I was just like
Oh.
you. I have a finance background, so I'm very analytical. I'm a very numbers based
I
type of
can
person.
tell your
Yeah,
anal stuff. I like it.
I am. I am. But this one experience spiritually, like, opened my heart, and like
Mm.
it just totally rerouted the trajectory that I was on in terms of managing my PTSD, my stress, everything that I had been experiencing from a stage 4 cancer
Let me
diagnosis.
think your stuff. Okay, thank you.
It's it's something that's a little out there. It's just an idea I would throw out there. But my next part of my journey, I think, is to look at this neurofeedback. It's something that's very simple that is measurable.
Okay.
When I say a psychedelic experience, that's like way out here. And if I explain my story, it would blow your mind. You wouldn't even believe me, but you'd say you're just on
Mm-hmm.
drugs. but but the
All right. All right.
there was more to it than that. It was
Yeah.
like the that experience was just unbelievable. And the cool
Mm-hmm.
thing about doing it with a guide is they help you reintegrate your
Mm-hmm.
experience. It's very professional. It was very cool. I don't know
Wow.
if I ever want to do it again.
I Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Yeah. You should.
But
You
and
should.
so how can people find you, Sammy?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm active in Instagram. I use Sami, and also I do have a YouTube channel. I started a YouTube channel once again after being,
Okay.
heavily censored previous one. Thank you.
I will put the link in the description below so that
Thank you.
anybody can find Sammy, and
Yeah, please.
please like and subscribe and follow her on her channel and follow her on Instagram.
Yeah,
Thank you
please
so
do.
much for joining me today, Sammy. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very
It's
much
been a
for having
pleasure.
me. Mm,
Yes. All right. Bye for now.
bye for now.